The soft blue lights of the Zephyrian science vessel gentle. Dawn flickered as another power surge ran through the ship's failing systems. Communications Officer Velinara pressed her delicate four-fingered hands against the console, her large, violet eyes filled with worry. The ship groaned around her, metal creaking under stress it was never designed to handle. "Captain Zechthel, the engines are failing faster than we thought," she called out, her voice barely a whisper. The Zephyrians never raised their voices. Their entire species had evolved on a peaceful world, where loud sounds meant danger. Captain Zechthel floated closer to her station. His body was tall and thin like a reed swaying in the wind. His skin had a pale green color that showed his fear. When Zephyrians were scared, their skin changed color. Right now, most of the crew looked like sick plants. "How long do we have?" he asked softly. "Maybe 6 hours before complete system failure," Velinara replied. Her fingers moved over the controls with practiced care. "The nebula is interfering with everything. Our navigation is blind, life support is dropping, and the quantum drive is about to shut down completely." In the cargo bay, 3 levels below, sat the most important discovery in Zephyrian history. Small containers held the cure for the withering. Plague, a disease that had been killing millions across their allied worlds. The cure had taken their best scientists 5 years to develop. Now it might die with them in this empty corner of space. "Send the distress signal to the Corvani battle fleet," Captain Zechthel ordered. "Emergency frequency, 77 Alpha. Tell them we need immediate assistance." Velinara nodded and began working on the transmission. The Corvani were their military allies, a strong warrior race that protected the peaceful Zephyrian collective. They had ships that could brave the dangerous nebula and pull the gentle Dawn to safety, but Velinara was nervous. Her hands shook as she entered the frequency codes. The ship shuddered again, and sparks flew from a nearby panel. The smell of burning circuits filled the air. In her fear, she made a mistake. Instead of entering frequency 77 Alpha, she typed 7-Alpha-7. The signal shot out into space, carrying their desperate message across the galaxy. But it was going to the wrong place, to a part of space the Zephyrians had never explored. It was heading toward a small yellow star in a distant spiral arm, toward a blue and green world that most of the galaxy had never heard of on Earth. In the Nevada desert, the deep space communications array stood like a metal forest against the star-filled sky. Inside the main building, technician Jake Peterson sat at his monitoring station, drinking his 3rd cup of coffee of the night. He had been working the night shift for 2 years, listening to the quiet whispers of space. Most nights were boring. He would scan radio frequencies, check for patterns, and log everything in the computer. The scientists hoped to find signs of intelligent life somewhere in the universe. So far they had found nothing but cosmic background noise and the occasional signal from their own satellites. But tonight was different. At 2:47 a.m., Jake's equipment picked up something strange. The signal was clearly artificial, not like anything in their databases. It had a pattern, a structure that could only come from intelligent beings. Jake's heart started beating faster. He had dreamed of this moment since he was a child. He called his supervisor immediately. "Linda, you need to get down here right now. I think we have something." Linda Hayes arrived 15 minutes later, still in her pajamas with a coat thrown over them. She was a serious woman in her 50s who had spent her whole career searching for signs of alien life. She looked at Jake's readings and felt her breath catch in her throat. "This is not natural," she said, staring at the patterns on the screen. "Look at these mathematical sequences. This is definitely from an intelligent source." The signal was weak and broken, but parts of it were clear. It seemed to be some kind of distress call. Numbers that might be coordinates? Sounds that could be words in an alien language. And underneath it all, a feeling of desperate need. Linda picked up the secure phone and dialed a number she had memorized but never used. "This is Dr. Linda Hayes at the Nevada Deep Space Array. I need to speak with Admiral Parker immediately." "Yes, I know what time it is. This is a Code 7 situation." Within an hour, military vehicles were racing across the desert toward the communications array. Admiral Chris Parker arrived with a team of specialists and linguists. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Show me what you have," he said without any greeting. Jake played the signal again. The room fell silent as everyone listened to humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. The sounds were unlike anything they had ever heard. Musical, flowing, like water over stones. But the emotion behind it was clear in any language: fear, desperation, a cry for help. "Can we tell where it came from?" Admiral Parker asked. Linda pointed to her star charts. "Based on the signal strength and direction, I think it came from the Veil Nebula region. About 47 light-years from here. That's at the edge of our exploration range," the Admiral said. "We would need to use one of our fastest ships." Dr. Sarah Kim, the team's xenolinguist, was already working on the alien sounds. "I can identify some mathematical concepts in the signal. These beings understand advanced mathematics. They might be asking for help with some kind of technical problem." Admiral Parker made his decision quickly. "I'm authorizing the deployment of the Endeavor. Captain Lisa Morgan and her crew are our best bet for a first contact situation. They're experienced, level-headed, and trained for the unexpected." 6 hours later, at the Armstrong Space Station orbiting Earth, Captain Lisa Morgan received her orders. She was a woman in her early 40s with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. She had commanded exploration missions to 12 different star systems and had never lost a crew member. "This is what we've been training for," she told her senior staff. "We're going to make contact with an alien species. Everything we do will be remembered in history books." Chief Engineer Ryan Brooks, a stocky man with oil-stained hands, grinned. Finally, something more interesting than checking asteroid mining equipment. Dr. Kevin Walsh, the ship's medical officer, looked worried. "We have no idea what we're walking into. These beings could be completely different from us. Different biology, different thinking, different everything." Communications specialist Amy Turner, a young woman with red hair and freckles, was already working on translation protocols. "I've analyzed the signal patterns. Their communication method is much more complex than ours. It's like they're sending emotions along with words." Captain Morgan looked at her crew. "These were good people, trained for the unknown. We'll take this slow and careful. Our mission is to help them if we can, and to represent humanity with honor. If this goes well, it could change everything for our species." The Endeavor launched 3 hours later, its quantum drives pushing it toward the Veil Nebula at speeds that would have been impossible just 50 years earlier. Behind them, Earth waited for news of humanity's first contact with alien life. None of them knew that the aliens they were rushing to help had never encountered a predator species. None of them realized that humans would be seen as the most terrifying creatures in the galaxy. And none of them could imagine that their act of kindness would start a chain of events that would change the fate of millions of worlds. The signal had been meant for allies. Instead, it had reached the Deathworlders. The Endeavor dropped out of quantum drive at the edge of the Veil Nebula, its sensors immediately scanning for the alien vessel. Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge, watching the swirling clouds of gas and dust that stretched across space like a colorful painting. Somewhere in that maze of cosmic debris was humanity's first contact with intelligent alien life. "I'm picking up the ship," reported Amy Turner from her communications station. "It's about 3 kilometers into the nebula. The signal is much stronger now." "What's their condition?" Captain Morgan asked. "Life support is failing. Their power output is dropping steadily. I'd say they have maybe 2 hours before complete system failure." Dr. Kevin Walsh looked up from his medical scanner. "I'm detecting multiple life signs aboard their vessel. At least 12 beings, possibly more. Their biological readings are unlike anything in our databases." Captain Morgan nodded. "Take us in slowly. Ryan, keep our engines ready for a quick exit if needed. Amy, prepare the universal translator. Let's announce our presence." Chief Engineer Ryan Brooks guided the Endeavor carefully through the nebulas. Dangerous currents. The ship's hull groaned as charged particles struck their shields. Lightning danced across the view screen in colors that had no names. We're within communication range, Amy reported. Opening a channel now. Captain Morgan stepped forward, knowing that her next words would be the first ever spoken between humans and aliens. This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the Earth vessel Endeavour. We received your distress signal and are here to help. Please respond. The response came immediately, but it was not what they expected. The alien ship's communication channel exploded with sounds of pure terror. High-pitched keening wails filled the Endeavour's bridge. The universal translator struggled to make sense of the chaos. They're screaming, Amy said, her face pale. The translator is picking up words like death, horror, and predator. Captain, I think they're afraid of us. On the alien vessel, Captain Zechthel stared at the readings his sensors were showing him. The ship that had come to help was unlike anything in the Zephyrian databases. Its hull was thick and armored. Its weapons were clearly designed for destruction, and the beings inside showed biological signatures that made his skin turn pale with fear. Velanara, what do our scans show about these creatures? He asked, his voice shaking. Velanara's hands trembled as she read the data. Captain, they're predators. Dense muscle mass, redundant organs, forward-facing eyes. Their bone structure suggests they evolved from hunters. And their planet ... double quote. She paused, checking the readings again. Their planet is a death world. The term death world sent a chill through every Zephyrian on the bridge. In their culture, death worlds were places of legend and nightmare. Planets so dangerous that only the strongest, most violent creatures could survive. The few species that came from such worlds were known as Deathworlders, and they were feared throughout the galaxy. We must contact the Corvani immediately, Captain Zechthel said. Tell them the Deathworlders have found us. But their communication systems were failing. The message to their military allies came out as broken static. Meanwhile, the human ship was moving closer, its massive form cutting through the nebula like a knife through silk on the Endeavour. Captain Morgan could see the alien vessel through the view screen. It was beautiful in its own way, with smooth curves and soft colors. It looked nothing like the warships humans built. This was clearly a science vessel built for exploration and discovery. They're not responding to our communications, Amy reported. I'm getting fragments of their language, but the translator is having trouble. They seem to be calling us something that translates to devourers or destroyers. Dr. Walsh was studying the alien biological readings with growing concern. Captain, these beings are extremely fragile. Their bones are hollow, like birds. Their muscle mass is almost nothing. They appear to be herbivores with no natural weapons or defenses. No wonder they're afraid, Captain Morgan said. To them, we probably look like monsters. Ryan Brooks pulled up a comparison between human and alien biology on his screen. Look at this. Their gravity is about half of Earth's. Their atmosphere is mostly nitrogen and oxygen, but with trace gases that would be toxic to us. They've evolved in a completely peaceful environment. And we've evolved in the complete opposite, Dr. Walsh added. Earth's high gravity, violent weather, predators, diseases, natural disasters. We're built to survive things that would kill them instantly. Captain Morgan made a decision. We're going to help them whether they're afraid or not. Amy, keep trying to communicate. Tell them we're here to help. Ryan, prepare to dock with their ship if necessary. But every attempt at communication only made things worse. The universal translator was slowly learning the alien language, but the words it produced on the human side were terrifying to the Zephyrians. Terms like consume, hunt, and kill kept appearing in the translations. Even when the humans were trying to say help and friend single quotes, Dr. Walsh tried to explain human medicine to the alien medical team, but the translations made it sound like humans healed by eating the sick. When Ryan Brooks offered to help repair their engines, the aliens heard it as a threat to tear apart their ship. The situation got worse when the Endeavour's routine scans revealed what the alien ship was carrying. The cargo bay was full of medical supplies and biological samples. To the human sensors, it looked like a massive stockpile of medicine. "They're carrying enough medical supplies to treat thousands of people," Dr. Walsh reported. "This must be some kind of medical mission." But when Amy tried to ask about their cargo, the translation came out as a demand to know what they were carrying. The aliens interpreted this as a threat to steal their precious cure for the withering plague. "Captain," Zekthal made a desperate decision. "Prepare to jettison the cargo," he ordered. "We cannot let these Deathworlders get their hands on the cure. If they take it, they could hold entire worlds hostage." "Captain, no," Velanara protested. "Millions will die without that cure." "Better that than letting these creatures use it as a weapon," Zekthal replied. The humans watched in confusion as the alien ship began venting atmosphere and preparing to eject its cargo. They had no idea that their attempts to help were being seen as acts of aggression. "They're going to destroy their own cargo," Amy reported. "I don't understand why." Captain Morgan realized that the situation was spiraling out of control. The aliens were so afraid of humans that they were willing to destroy whatever they were carrying rather than let it fall into human hands. "All stop," she ordered. "Move us back to a safe distance. Amy, send a message on all frequencies. Tell them we're backing away and we won't hurt them." But the damage was already done. Several of the alien crew members had collapsed from stress-induced shock. Their fragile nervous systems couldn't handle the terror of encountering what they believed were legendary monsters. Dr. Walsh watched the alien medical readings with growing alarm. "Captain, their stress levels are off the charts. Some of them are going into what looks like cardiac arrest. They're literally dying of fear." The irony was not lost on Captain Morgan. Humanity had finally made contact with alien life, and the aliens were so afraid of humans that they were dying just from being in the same area of space. "We need to figure out how to communicate with them," she said. "They need help, and we're the only ones who can provide it. But every time we try to help, we make things worse." Ryan Brooks looked at the readings from both ships. "Captain, their engines are failing fast. They have maybe an hour before complete system failure. If we don't help them soon, they're going to die anyway." Amy was working frantically on the translation protocols. "I think I'm starting to understand their language better. They keep using a word that translates to gentle or peaceful. It seems to be very important to them." "Try using that word in our communications," Captain Morgan suggested. "Tell them we come in peace. Use their own word for it." Amy sent the message, but even this backfired. To the Zephyrians, the idea that Deathworlders would use their sacred word for peace was the ultimate insult. It was like claiming to be something they could never be. The situation seemed hopeless. The aliens were dying of fear, their ship was failing, and every attempt to help only made things worse. Humanity's first contact with alien life was turning into a disaster that could end with the death of everyone involved. But somewhere in the growing chaos, a small hope remained. One young Zephyrian engineer named Kilandra had been listening to the human communications. Unlike the others, she was beginning to wonder if these creatures might actually be trying to help. It was a dangerous thought, one that went against everything her people believed about Deathworlders. But as her ship continued to die around her, Kilandra began to think that maybe, just maybe, these terrifying beings from the Deathworld called Earth might be their only hope for survival. Amy Turner had been working on the translation protocols for 6 hours straight. Her eyes were red from staring at the screen, her hands cramped from typing, but she was finally starting to understand the alien language. The breakthrough came when she realized that the Zephyrians communicated with emotional tones as well as words. "Captain, I think I've got something," she called out, her voice hoarse with exhaustion. "Their language includes feelings along with the words. That's why our translations have been so wrong. We've been missing half the meaning." Captain Morgan moved to Amy's station. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of the ship's systems and the distant sound of the nebula's electromagnetic storms. "What are you picking up?" "They're not just afraid of us," Amy said, adjusting the translation matrix. "They're desperate." The word they keep using translates to something like death cure or life medicine. I think they're carrying medical supplies to save lives somewhere. Dr. Walsh looked up from his medical scanner. That would make sense. I've been monitoring their biological stress levels. Some of them are literally dying from fear, but they're still trying to protect their cargo bay. Whatever they're carrying must be extremely important. Amy fine-tuned the translator and played back some of the alien communications. This time the meaning was clearer. The Zephyrians were talking about something called the Withering Plague, a disease that was killing millions of people across their allied worlds. They have a cure, Amy said, her eyes widening. They've developed a cure for some kind of plague, and they're trying to deliver it to save lives. But they think we want to steal it. Captain Morgan felt a chill run down her spine. How many lives are we talking about? Amy listened to more of the alien transmissions. From what I can understand, entire planets are affected. Millions of people are dying while they're stuck here in the nebula. The moral weight of the situation hit everyone on the bridge. These aliens were so afraid of humans that they were willing to let millions die rather than accept help from what they saw as monsters. We have to find a way to help them, Captain Morgan said. Not just with their ship, but with their mission. If we can save those lives, we have to try. Dr. Walsh was already analyzing the alien medical data that their sensors had picked up. Captain, I'm looking at their biological readings and the data about this plague. It's similar to some diseases we've encountered on Earth, viral in nature, attacks the immune system, spreads through respiratory contact. Can we help with the cure? Captain Morgan asked. Maybe, Dr. Walsh replied. But I'd need to understand their biology better. From what I can tell, their cure only works on their specific genetic makeup. Other species might need different treatments. Amy continued working on the translation, trying to find a way to communicate peaceful intentions. She discovered that the Zephyrians had a concept called the gentle path, a philosophy of absolute non-violence that guided their entire civilization. Captain, I think I understand why they're so afraid, Amy said. Their entire culture is built around the idea that violence is impossible. They've never encountered predators. They don't even have words for concepts like war or fighting. To them, we're like demons from their worst nightmares. Meanwhile, on the alien vessel, young engineer Calandra was having her own breakthrough. While the rest of her crew cowered in terror, she had been studying the human ship's actions. The Deathworlders had moved away when the Zephyrians showed fear. They had stopped their approach when it became clear they were causing distress. These behaviors don't match the stories, she whispered to herself. Deathworlders are supposed to attack and consume, but these ones are trying to communicate. They're keeping their distance. Calandra made a decision that would have been unthinkable to any other Zephyrian. She accessed the ship's communication system and sent a message directly to the human vessel. Her hands shook as she typed the words, but she forced herself to continue. The message was simple. Why do you stay away? Why do you not attack? Amy nearly fell out of her chair when the message appeared on her screen. Captain, we're getting a direct communication from one of the aliens. It's different from the others, less afraid. Captain Morgan read the message carefully. They want to know why we're not attacking them. Amy, respond carefully. Tell them we don't want to hurt anyone. We only want to help. The conversation that followed was slow and careful. Calandra asked questions that revealed the depth of Zephyrian fear and misunderstanding. Why did humans have forward-facing eyes? Why were their bones so dense? Why did they come from a world of violence? Amy answered each question with patience and care, explaining that humans evolved to survive on a dangerous world, but that they had chosen to use their strength to help others instead of hurting them. Your people are dying from sickness, Amy transmitted. We have doctors who might be able to help. We have medicines from our world that could save lives. Calandra was quiet for a long time. When she finally responded, her message was filled with uncertainty. How do we know you speak truth? How do we know you will not take our cure and use it to harm others? Dr. Walsh, who had been listening to the conversation, asked Amy to send a message. Tell her that our doctors take an oath to heal, not harm. Tell her that we would rather die than let innocent people suffer when we could help. When Kalandra received this message, she felt something she had never experienced before, hope that these terrifying creatures might actually be what they claimed to be, but convincing one young engineer was not enough. Captain Zekthal and the rest of the crew still believed that the humans were trying to trick them. The captain had decided to destroy the cure rather than let it fall into human hands. Beginning cargo jettison procedures, Zekthal announced. We cannot let the Deathworlders have the cure. Kalandra made the most dangerous decision of her life. She disabled the cargo bay systems and sent an emergency message to the human ship. Stop your captain, she transmitted. He will destroy the cure. Millions will die. Amy immediately relayed the message to Captain Morgan. Captain, they're about to destroy their cargo. The cure for the plague will be lost. Captain Morgan had to make a choice that would determine the fate of millions of lives. She could respect the aliens' wishes and let them destroy the cure, or she could intervene and confirm their worst fears about human aggression. Ryan, prepare to dock with their ship, she ordered. We're going aboard whether they want us to. Or not. Captain, that could be seen as an act of war, Dr. Walsh warned. And doing nothing is an act of murder, Captain Morgan replied. We can't let millions die because of fear and misunderstanding. The Endeavour moved toward the alien vessel, its docking systems extended. The action sent the Zephyrian crew into complete panic. Their worst fears were coming true. The Deathworlders were boarding their ship, but Kalandra was ready. She had been studying the human ship's design and had figured out how to unlock the docking systems. As the ships connected, she sent one final message to Amy Turner. I will help you, she transmitted. But if you betray my trust, if you harm my people, I will find a way to stop you. Amy's response was immediate and heartfelt. We swear by everything we hold sacred that we will not harm your people. We only want to save lives. As the airlock sealed between the two ships, both species were about to face their greatest test. The humans would have to prove that Deathworlders could be trusted. The Zephyrians would have to overcome thousands of years of evolutionary fear, and somewhere in the distance, the Corvani battle fleet was finally picking up the original distress signal. They were coming to rescue their allies, but they would find a situation that no one could have predicted. The fate of millions hung in the balance, and the only hope lay in the courage of one young alien engineer who was willing to trust the monsters from the death world called Earth. Dr. Walsh prepared his medical equipment, knowing that he was about to attempt something unprecedented, working with alien biology to save lives across multiple worlds. The cure they carried was incomplete, but combined with human medical knowledge, it might be enough. Remember, Captain, Morgan told her crew as they prepared to board the alien ship, we're not just representing humanity here. We're proving that strength can be used for good. That predators can choose to protect instead of destroy. The airlock opened in two. Species that should have been enemies took their first steps toward understanding each other. The airlock hissed open, and Captain Morgan stepped aboard the alien vessel. The first thing that struck her was how different everything looked. The walls were smooth and curved, colored in soft blues and greens. The lights were gentle, not harsh like human ship lighting. Everything was designed for beings who had never known violence. Behind her, Dr. Walsh and Ryan Brooks followed carefully. They had left their weapons on the Endeavour and carried only medical supplies and repair tools. Even so, the few Zephyrians, who saw them immediately, fled in terror. Kalandra waited near the airlock, her thin body trembling with fear and determination. She was smaller than the humans had expected, barely reaching Captain Morgan's shoulder. Her large violet eyes were wide with terror, but she stood her ground. I am Kalandra, she said through the translation device Amy had given her. I will help you, but please do not hurt my people. Captain Morgan knelt down to make herself less threatening. I am Captain Morgan. We will not hurt anyone. We only want to help save lives. The simple gesture of kneeling had a powerful effect. On Kalandra, in Zephyrian culture, making yourself smaller was a sign of respect and peace. It was something a predator would never do. Your people are afraid? Captain Morgan continued. We understand. But people are dying from the plague, and we think we can help make the cure work better. Calandra led them through the ship's corridors. The other Zephyrians they passed either ran away or collapsed in fear. Some had to be carried to medical stations by their friends. The humans were literally scaring the aliens to death just by existing. This is wrong, Dr. Walsh whispered. We're trying to help, but we're making them sick with fear. We have to try, Captain Morgan replied. If we can save millions of lives, we have to accept that we're frightening to them. They reached the medical bay, where the lead Zephyrian doctor, Helvara, was waiting. She was older than Calandra, with skin that had turned almost white with terror. When she saw the humans, she began to shake uncontrollably. Please, she whispered. Do not eat us, we are not food. Dr. Walsh's heart broke at the words. We don't eat people, he said gently. We're doctors. We heal people. Look. He showed her his medical scanner and his supplies. These are medicines to help sick people get better. Calandra translated, trying to explain that the humans were healers, not killers. It was hard to make Helvara understand, but slowly the old doctor began to listen. Show me the plague cure, Dr. Walsh said. Let me understand how it works. With shaking hands, Helvara brought out samples of the cure. It was a beautiful blue liquid that seemed to glow with its own light. She explained how it worked, how it fought the disease, and how it could only help Zephyr IANS. Dr. Walsh studied the cure with his equipment. This is incredible work, he said. But I think I see the problem. The cure is designed for your specific biology. Other species have different immune systems. Can you help? Calandra asked. Maybe, Dr. Walsh replied. On Earth, we've learned to modify medicines for different situations. Our world has many diseases, so we've had to become very good at fighting them. While Dr. Walsh worked with Helvara, Ryan Brooks was helping Calandra with the ship's engines. The young engineer had overcome her fear enough to work alongside the human, though she still jumped every time he moved too quickly. Your engines are beautiful, Ryan said, looking at the alien technology. Much cleaner than our designs. But they're not built for emergency repairs. We have never needed emergency repairs before, Calandra replied. Our people do not go to dangerous places. Well, sometimes dangerous places come to you, Ryan said with a gentle smile. That's why we build our ships strong. Not to hurt anyone, but to protect the people inside. As they worked together, something amazing happened. Calandra began to see the humans not as monsters, but as people. Ryan showed her pictures of his family on Earth. Dr. Walsh talked about his patients and how much he cared about healing people. Captain Morgan shared stories of exploration and discovery. Your people are not what the stories say, Calandra said. You are not evil, you are just ... strong. Strength can be used for good or bad, Captain Morgan replied. We choose to use ours to help others. The work was slow and difficult. Dr. Walsh and Helvara had to find ways to modify the cure for different species. Ryan and Calandra had to repair engines that were failing fast. And Captain Morgan had to convince other Zephyrians that the humans were not there to harm them. The breakthrough came when Jake Peterson, who had transferred to the Endeavor, was injured during a dangerous repair operation. A power surge had damaged part of the ship's systems, and Jake was caught in the explosion. Jake, Ryan shouted, rushing to help his friend. The young technician was unconscious, blood running from a cut on his head. Dr. Walsh immediately began treating Jake, but he needed help. Without thinking, he asked Helvara to assist him. The Zephyrian doctor forgot her fear and began helping to save the human's life. He is hurt, Helvara said, her training taking over. He needs medicine for the pain. Can you help me? Dr. Walsh asked. Yes, Helvara replied. All life is precious. Working together, they stabilized Jake's condition. As they worked, other Zephyrians watched in amazement. They saw the humans showing pain, fear, and vulnerability. They saw Dr. Walsh's genuine care for his patient. They saw that these monsters could be hurt just like anyone else. They bleed, one Zephyrian whispered to another. They feel pain. They are not invincible. The incident changed everything. The Zephyrians began to understand that humans were not evil spirits or unstoppable monsters. They were people who could be hurt, who cared about their friends, who felt sadness and worry. Captain Zekthal, who had been hiding in his quarters, finally came to see what was happening. He watched as Dr. Walsh and Helvara worked side by side to modify the plague cure. He saw Ryan and Calandra repairing the engines. Together, he saw humans and Zephyrians cooperating instead of fighting. "I do not understand," he said to Captain Morgan. "You are Deathworlders. You should be trying to conquer us." "We are what you call Deathworlders," Captain Morgan replied. "But that doesn't mean we want to bring death. It means we're strong enough to fight death when it threatens innocent people." For the first time in hours, Captain Zekthal's skin began to return to its normal green color. The terror was fading, replaced by confusion and hope, but their progress was interrupted by an urgent message from Amy Turner on the Endeavor. "Captain, we're picking up ships approaching fast. Multiple vessels, heavily armed. They're demanding to know who we are and why we're here." The Corvani battle fleet had arrived. These were the military allies the Zephyrians had been trying to contact. But the Corvani were a warrior species who saw the universe in terms of strength and conquest. They would not understand the delicate cooperation that had developed between humans and Zephyrians. "The Corvani," Captain Zekthal said, his skin turning pale again. "They will think you are attacking us. They will try to destroy your ship." Captain Morgan felt her heart sink. Just when they had started to build trust and cooperation, a new threat appeared. The Corvani would see the human presence as an act of war, and all the progress they had made would be destroyed. "Can you explain to them that we're helping?" she asked. "They will not believe it," Captain Zekthal replied. Corvani do not trust easily. "They will shoot first and ask questions later." Dr. Walsh looked up from his work. "Captain, I think I've figured out how to modify the cure, but I need more time to test it. If we're attacked now, millions of people will die." Captain Morgan made a decision that would determine the fate of everyone involved. "We stay and finish the work. Whatever happens with the Corvani, we don't abandon the mission." Calandra looked at the humans with new respect. "You will risk your lives to save people you have never met?" "That's what people do," Captain Morgan replied. "That's what makes us human." Outside, the Corvani warships were taking attack positions. General Vexmore, their commander, was preparing to destroy what he saw as a threat to his allies. He had no idea that the dangerous predators he was about to attack were actually trying to save millions of lives. The next few hours would determine whether the cooperation between humans and Zephyrians would survive, or whether fear and misunderstanding would destroy the galaxy's best hope for peace. The Corvani warships dropped out of hyperspace like angry metal beasts. There were 6 of them, each one larger than the Endeavor, their hulls covered in weapons that could destroy a planet. General Lexmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the scene before him with growing anger. "What is that ship doing near our allies?" he demanded. "It's not in our databases." His tactical officer studied the readings. "General, the unknown vessel has docked with the Gentle Dawn. Their technology appears to be advanced but primitive. Their hull design suggests they come from a high-gravity world." General Lexmore's eyes narrowed. The Corvani had encountered high-gravity species before. They were always dangerous, always aggressive, a Deathworlder species. They must be trying to capture our allies' ship. "General, we're receiving a transmission from the Gentle Dawn," the communications officer reported. "Put it through," Vexmore ordered. Captain Zekthal's frightened face appeared on the screen. "General Vexmore, thank the stars you're here. We have been contacted by an unknown species. They call themselves humans." "Are they holding you prisoner?" the general asked, his hand moving toward his weapons controls. "No," Zekthal said, confusion clear in his voice. They say they are helping us." "But General, they are Deathworlders. They come from a world of violence and death." General Lexmore had heard enough. "We will destroy them immediately. Move your ship away from theirs." "Wait," Zekthal said quickly. "General, something strange is happening. These humans, they are working with our medical team to save lives. Dr. Helvara says they might be able to help with the plague cure. Impossible, Dexmore replied. Deathworlders don't help. They conquer and destroy. It must be a trick. On the human ship, Amy Turner was frantically trying to establish communication with the Corvani fleet. Captain, they're not responding. To our hails, their weapons are charging up. Captain Morgan felt the weight of the situation. In a few minutes, the Corvani would attack, and all the progress they had made would be destroyed. Keep trying to reach them. Tell them we're here on a peaceful mission. Captain, Dr. Walsh called from the alien ship, I need 15 more minutes to finish modifying the cure. We're so close to saving millions of lives. Ryan Brooks was working desperately to finish repairing the Zephyrian engines. If we can get their ship moving, maybe we can escape the battle zone. But Kilandra had a different idea. She had been listening to the communications between the Corvani and her captain. The Corvani will not believe your words, she told Captain Morgan. But they might believe mine. What are you thinking? Captain Morgan asked. I will tell them the truth, Kilandra replied. I will tell them what I have seen, that humans are not monsters. Before anyone could stop her, Kilandra accessed the ship's communication system and sent a message directly to the Corvani fleet. Her image appeared on General Dexmore's screen, her small form trembling but determined. General Dexmore, I am Kilandra, engineer of the Gentle Dawn. I must tell you something important about these humans. Young one, you are clearly frightened. The general said, do not worry. We will destroy these predators. No, Kilandra said, surprising everyone with the force in her voice. You do not understand. These humans are not what we thought. Yes, they are strong. Yes, they come from a dangerous world. But they use their strength to protect, not to destroy. General Dexmore laughed harshly. Child, you have been fooled. Deathworlders cannot be trusted. I have worked beside them, Kilandra continued. I have seen their friend get hurt, and I have seen them risk their lives to save him. I have watched their doctor work with ours to save millions of people from the plague. These are not the actions of monsters. Other Zephyrians began joining the transmission. Dr. Helvara appeared on screen, her skin no longer white with terror. General, the human doctor has shown me how to modify our cure. We can now save not just our people, but all the species affected by the plague. Captain Zekthal added his voice. General, I have seen things today that I never thought possible. These humans could have taken our ship by force, but instead they asked for permission. They could have stolen our cure, but instead they helped make it better. General Dexmore was confused. The Corvani understood strength and weakness, victory and defeat. But they did not understand the concept of choosing peace when you had the power to choose war. This makes no sense, he said. Why would powerful beings choose to help instead of conquer? Captain Morgan asked Amy to patch her into the Corvani communication system. General, my name is Captain Lisa Morgan. May I speak with you? Dexmore looked at the human woman on his screen. She was clearly from a high-gravity world. Her muscles were dense, her bone structure heavy. Everything about her suggested a creature born for war. But her eyes held something he did not expect to see in a predator, kindness. Speak, he said simply. General, you're right to be suspicious of us, Captain Morgan began. We are what you call Deathworlders. Our planet is dangerous, and we evolved to be strong to survive it. But surviving on a dangerous world taught us something important, that life is precious because it's fragile. I do not understand, Dixmore replied. When you see death every day, you learn to value life, Captain Morgan explained. When you fought to survive, you want to help others survive too. Our strength comes from our world, but our choice to use that strength to help others comes from our hearts. Dr. Walsh joined the conversation. General, in my culture, doctors take an oath to heal, not harm. We swear to help anyone who is sick, whether they are our friends or our enemies. That's what makes us human. Ryan Brooks added, I have a family back on Earth, children. I fix things so that other people's children can be safe. That's all we're doing here, trying to keep children safe from a terrible disease. The words had an unexpected effect on General Dexmore. The Corvani were warriors, but they were also parents. The idea of protecting children was something he could understand. Calandra spoke again. General, these humans show us something new. They prove that being strong doesn't mean you have to be cruel. They are what we always hoped we could be, protectors instead of predators. Jake Peterson, still weak from his injury, managed to send his own message. General, I was hurt today helping to fix their ship. These aliens could have left me to die. Instead, their doctor saved my life. If they can be kind to us, why can't we be kind to them? For several long minutes, General Dexmore was silent. His officers waited for orders to attack. The humans waited to see if their words had any effect. The Zephyrians held their breath, hoping that their testimony would prevent a battle. Finally, the general spoke. Stand down weapons, he ordered. His fleet, I want to see this cooperation for myself. The relief was immediate and overwhelming. The Corvani ships powered down their weapons and moved to safe positions. General Dexmore's shuttle docked with the Gentle Dawn, and he came aboard to see the impossible sight of humans and Zephyrians working together. Dr. Walsh showed him the modified plague cure, now ready to save millions of lives across multiple species. Ryan Brooks demonstrated the repaired engines that would allow the mission to continue. Captain Morgan explained how humans had learned that true strength comes from protecting others, not hurting them. This is unprecedented, General Dexmore said. In all my years as a warrior, I have never seen Deathworlders choose peace when they could choose war. That's what makes us human, Captain Morgan replied. We choose to be more than what our world made us. The mission was completed successfully. The plague cure was delivered to the affected worlds, saving millions of lives. The cooperation between humans, Zephyrians, and Corvani became the foundation for a new alliance that would change the galaxy. Years later, when other species encountered humans for the first time, they would hear the story of the Gentle Dawn. They would learn about the Deathworlders who chose to heal instead of harm, who used their strength to protect the weak, who proved that even the most dangerous beings could be the most trustworthy allies. The misplaced distress signal that had started it all became a symbol of hope across the galaxy. It showed that sometimes the best help comes from the most unexpected places, and that true strength is measured not by the ability to destroy, but by the choice to create and protect. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not as conquerors, but as guardians. They became the species others called when they needed someone strong enough to face impossible odds, yet gentle enough to be trusted with precious lives. The Deathworlder paradox had become humanity's greatest gift to the universe. The proof that even monsters can choose to be heroes.